Welcome to the Deep Dive. Sometimes my curiosity just takes over, and today it's led us straight to the doorstep of, a true entertainment empire, the Walt Disney Company.
Ah, Disney. A name synonymous with, well, just about everything entertainment, right?
Exactly. So to really dig into this, we've gathered timelines, overviews, the factual stuff from places like The Street and Wikipedia.
Solid sources. So what's the mission for our deep dive today?
The mission is to extract those golden nuggets, the most fascinating, the most pivotal moments from Disney's history. It's almost a century long, to give you a real sense of how this powerhouse evolved.
Almost a century. Wow, okay, so we're talking way back. Where do we even begin?
Well, every story has a beginning. For Disney, it all started October 16th, 1923. The Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio. Walt and Roy Oliver Disney, the founding duo.
Disney Brothers, just like that. Huh, what were they working on back then?
Right off the bat, they snagged a deal to produce the Alice comedies. M.J. Winkler was the distributor. Early days, but ambition was there.
You can see the seeds of, a certain entrepreneurial spirit, right? From the very start, two brothers, a new industry, and bam, a contract. They must have really believed in animation's potential.
Oh, absolutely. And that belief, it shaped things quickly. By 1926, the studio moved to Hyperion Avenue, and the name changed. It became the Walt Disney Studio.
Okay, so Walt's name is front and center now. Things are getting serious.
Exactly. And then, in 1927, along came Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, an early hit showing the audience's appetite for animated characters.
Oswald. Yeah, I vaguely remember that name. Wasn't there some drama with that character, though?
Oh, there was a huge turning point. 1928, they lost the rights to Oswald. Universal Pictures snatched him up. Imagine building something successful, then losing it like that. Must have been a real blow.
A tough break for sure. But didn't something pretty important come out of that very same year?
You're exactly right. 1928 also gave birth to Mickey and Minnie Mouse.
Of course, the icons. But what was the connection to the Oswald situation?
Well, losing Oswald taught Walt a crucial lesson. He realized the importance of retaining control over his creations. Intellectual property, we call it now.
Makes sense. So that setback actually set the stage for everything that followed. Protecting their creations, their brand. It became a core principle for Disney.
And a very successful one, as we all know. But back to 1928, Mickey Mouse doesn't waste any time. Plain Crazy, his debut. But then came Steamboat Willie, and that changed everything.
Steamboat Willie, what was so special about that one?
It was the first cartoon ever with synchronized sound. Before that, animation was, silent.
Wow. It's hard to even imagine now.
Right. This was innovation on a huge scale. Disney was pioneering a whole new way to experience animation.
So we've got the characters, the sound. What happens next for the company?
1929. A lot happened. The studio reorganized, becoming Walt Disney Productions Ltd. But their vision wasn't limited to cartoons. They formed Walt Disney Enterprises for, the merchandise side of things.
So they saw the potential beyond the screen? Smart move.
Right. Plus, they also created the Disney Film Recording Company and Lild Realty and Investment Company for real estate. Yeah. They were branching out in a big way. Oh, and that same year, they debuted the Silly Symphony series. The first one, The Skeleton Dance.
Wow, so much happening. Merchandising, real estate, and spooky skeletons dancing. They weren't playing around.
Not at all. Now, as their output grew, they needed wider distribution. In 1930, they went with Columbia Pictures. Then, in 1932, they shifted again to United Artists. They were always strategically finding the best partners.
Makes sense. You need the right channels to get those films in front of as many eyes as possible.
And 1932, oh, what a year. Walt got an honorary Academy Award just for creating Mickey Mouse. That's how big of an impact Mickey had. Then, Flowers and Trees from the Silly Symphonies, it won Best Animated Short Film at the Oscars.
That's amazing, but wasn't there something else, something technical about Flowers and Trees?
Oh, I almost forgot. It was the first cartoon in Technicolor, another huge innovation. Plus, Mickey's Review also came out that year.
Technicolor. Now, those cartoons must have really popped on the screen.
Totally. Then in 1933, Three Little Pigs wins Best Animated Short Film. And 1934, Donald Duck arrives in The Wise Little Hen, and The Tortoise and the Hare also snagged an Oscar.
Donald. You gotta love that guy. Always a little chaotic, huh?
Always. A true contrast to Mickey's calmness. Okay, so distribution changes again. 1936, RKO Radio Pictures is the new partner. But then, the late 1930s, something monumental happens. Something many thought was impossible.
Go on, I'm intrigued.
1937, Walt releases Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. the first full-length animated feature film ever.
Whoa, hold on. So before that, no one had ever tried a full-length animated movie. That's a huge risk.
A massive gamble. Many in the industry thought audiences wouldn't sit through it. But Snow White blew everyone away. It was a huge success, both artistically and at the box office.
And it really set the stage for, well, for all of the animated movies we love today, right?
Absolutely. And the Academy recognized it. 1938, Snow White got an honorary Oscar. That same year, all the different Disney entities, they merged. Everything under one roof. Walt Disney Productions.
So the company is getting bigger and more structured.
Right. Then 1940 rolls around, and they move to Burbank, California, the home of Disney even today. And they go public. They also release Pinocchio, which wins Oscars for Best Song and Best Score.
Going public, that's a huge step. Shows how much they were growing.
It does. Now, the 1940s, they were a bit more complicated. Fantasia gets 2 honorary Oscars in 41, but that same year, there was an animator strike. Some internal struggles were happening. Dumbo did win an Oscar for its score, though.
So some ups and downs during that time.
Definitely. And then, of course, World War II was happening. The studio actually shifted to making propaganda films for the war effort.
Wow, so even Disney was affected by the war.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now, by 44, because of the war and other factors, they were facing some financial strain. So what do? They re-released Snow White.
Smart move. Capitalize on a classic.
It was. Not only did it make money, but it also established a key business model for them, the strategic re-release. They still do that today. Keep those classics alive for new generations.
It's brilliant, really. It keeps the revenue flowing and the legacy strong.
Now, 1945, they release The Three Caballeros. It was their first movie to combine live action with animation, always experimenting, pushing boundaries.
Yeah, I remember that one. A real mix of styles.
Then in 46, Song of the South and Make My Music come out. Song of the South, of course, has become pretty controversial over the years, but at the time, it won an Oscar for Best Original Song.
Song of the South, yeah, it's a complicated one. Reflects those changing times and sensitivities.
Definitely. Okay, so in 1948, they launched the True Life Adventures series, nature documentaries. Seal Island actually won an Oscar, showing they weren't just about animation.
Wow, nature documentaries, huh? A whole different direction for Disney.
Right. And in 49, they fully commit to live action with Treasure Island. They also started licensing their characters to the Ice Capades. Smart marketing, getting those characters everywhere.
The Ice Capades, and that's a blast from the past. Can you imagine Mickey and Minnie ice skating?
Now, the early 50s, this is where the theme park dream really takes shape. 1953, WED Enterprises is formed. This was Walt's baby, specifically to control all things Disneyland.
WED Enterprises. So that's where the magic was literally designed and built.
It was. And they secured a crucial funding deal with American Broadcasting Paramount Theaters. Without that, Disneyland might have stayed just a dream.
Ah, so that's where the money came from for this massive project.
Yep. 1954, another big move. They cut ties with RKO and formed their own distribution company, Buena Vista Film Distribution Company, Inc. Complete control over their releases. And 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea wins 2 Oscars that year, the first film released under the Buena Vista banner.
So they're not just making the films, they're controlling how they reach the audience.
Smart. Very smart. Now, are you ready for 1955? This was a landmark year.
Okay, hit me.
Disneyland opens. Anaheim, California. The world of theme parks was never the same. The Lady and the Tramp hits theaters, and on TV, the Mickey Mouse Club premieres on ABC. Plus, Magic Kingdom debuts on ABC Radio.
Wow, 1955 was a whirlwind. Disneyland, TV, radio, a new animated classic. They were everywhere.
They were on a roll. The late 50s and early 60s, more film releases. Old Yeller in 57, the Disney-produced Zorro series on ABC, Pollyanna, which won an Oscar, and the Swiss Family Robinson in 60. Then in 61, they buy the rights to Winnie the Pooh, a genius acquisition. That little bear is still bringing in the big bucks.
Winnie the Pooh, yeah. Who doesn't love Pooh? Smart move by Disney for sure.
In 63, a little glimpse into the future, the Enchanted Tiki Room opens at Disneyland.
What's so special about some singing birds?
It was all about the technology. This was the debut of audio animatronics. Those birds, they moved and sang, synchronized. It was mind-blowing back then.
Audio animatronics. Wow, yeah, I can see how that would have been groundbreaking.
And then 1964, Mary Poppins. This movie, it was a game changer. It was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, the first Disney film to achieve that. Julie Andrews wins Best Actress, and they win Best Song for Chim Chim Cheree, plus 3 more. 13 nominations in total. It felt like Disney had truly arrived in Hollywood.
Mary Poppins, yeah, it was a phenomenon. It really blended live action and animation so beautifully.
It did. But sadly, December 1966, Walt Disney passed away. Lung cancer, a huge loss. Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree also came out that year. And, many say this began a period of, well, maybe not stagnation, but slower growth, less groundbreaking stuff for Disney. Well, until about 1987. They even faced a hostile takeover attempt, what's called Greenmail.
It's hard to imagine Disney without Walt at the helm. Losing someone like that, it's bound to have an impact.
It did. But even with Walt gone, work continued on his projects. 1967, construction starts on Walt Disney World in Florida, and they established the Reedy Creek Improvement District. It's a really unique setup, gives them a lot of control over their Florida property.
Reedy Creek. Yeah, I've heard about that. It's almost like their own little government down there.
It is. Late 60s, we also see Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, which won an Oscar, and The Love Bug in 68. And in 69, The Haunted Mansion opens at Disneyland. A classic.
So even without Walt, the creativity, the expansion, it didn't stop.
Not at all. Early 70s, more change. Roy Disney, Walt's brother, he passes away in 71. Don Tatum becomes chairman. Cardwalker is president. Bedknobs and Broomsticks wins an Oscar. And most importantly, the Magic Kingdom opens in Florida. Walt's dream realized.
It's amazing how they kept pushing forward, building on that original vision.
It is. But not everyone was happy with the direction. 1977, Roy E. Disney, Walt's nephew, resigns. He was concerned about the quality, the management, where things were headed.
Internal disagreements, huh? That's bound to happen in a company that big.
For sure. Now, early 80s, get this. Coca-Cola actually tried to buy Disney. Didn't work out, though. 1982, Ron W. Miller, Walt's son-in-law, takes over as CEO. Tron comes out that year, a very early use of computer-generated imagery. And Epcot opens at Walt Disney World.
Tron! Now that was visually groundbreaking for its time. And Epcot, a whole new concept for a theme park.
Right. Then, 83, the Disney Channel launches. Big move into cable TV. And Tokyo Disneyland opens, expanding internationally.
So they're branching out into new media, new markets.
Big time. But 1984, this was a major, major turning point. Ron Miller's out as CEO. Michael Eisner from Paramount comes in. Frank Wells from Warner Bros. Joins as president, a whole new leadership team.
Eisner and Wells, that's the beginning of a whole new era for Disney, right?
It really was. And they wasted no time. They create Touchstone Films, specifically to make movies for more mature audiences. First release, Splash, a big hit.
Touchstone. So that's where films like Pretty Woman and Dead Poets Society came from?
You got it. And 1985, Touchstone Television is born. Golden Girls, Home Improvement, Boy Meets World all come from them. Disney's TV game was strong.
It was. Touchstone was a smart move, allowed them to diversify their content without, messing with the Disney brand.
Exactly. 1986, another big name change. Walt Disney Productions becomes the Walt Disney Company. More fitting for the giant they'd become. Buena Vista gets renamed too. That year, under Touchstone, they released their first R-rated film, Down and Out in Beverly Hills. And Paul Newman wins an Oscar for The Color of Money, another Touchstone release.
So they're shaking things up, pushing boundaries, taking on more mature themes, but still maintaining that family-friendly core.
Right.
Yeah.
Late 80s, the expansion continues. 1987, the first Disney store opens. Agreement is reached for Euro Disney in France. Touchstone has hits like Good Morning Vietnam and 3 Men and a Baby. 1988, Walt Disney Computer Software is born. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit comes out, another groundbreaking mix of live action and animation, 4 Oscars.
Roger Rabbit, yeah, that was a technical marvel. Seamless blend of animation and the real world.
1989, they started talking about acquiring Jim Henson Productions, The Muppets. The Little Mermaid wins a couple of Oscars for its music. Disney MGM Studios, the theme park, opens at Walt Disney World.
The Muppets would have been a perfect fit for Disney. Too bad it didn't work out.
Yeah, sadly, Jim Henson passed away in 1990, so the deal fell through. That same year, though, they released Pretty Woman and Dick Tracy, which won 3 Oscars. And they formed Hollywood Pictures, another division for more adult-oriented films. Arachnophobia was their first release.
So many divisions, so much content. Were they starting to spread themselves too thin?
Maybe. But the early 90s, Disney Vacation Club Resorts launch. 1991, Beauty and the Beast. A huge hit and a historic Oscar nomination. It was the first animated film ever nominated for Best Picture. It won 2 other Oscars, though. 1992, The Mighty Ducks leads to the creation of a real NHL team. Aladdin wins 2 Oscars. Euro Disney finally opens.
Early 90s, what they call the Disney Renaissance, right? Those animated films were on fire.
Absolutely. 1993, they buy Miramax Films. Big move into independent art house cinema.
Miramax. So now they've got everything from kids' films to, well, some pretty edgy stuff.
Pretty much. Now, 1994, another year of ups and downs. Frank Wells, a top executive, dies in a helicopter crash.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Katzenberg, head of the film division, quits and co-founds DreamWorks. Plans for a Virginia theme park are scrapped. Euro Disney is renamed Disneyland Paris.
Wow, some real shakeups there. But amidst all that,
The Lion King comes out, a global phenomenon, 2 Oscars. Also, Tim Burton's Ed Wood wins 2 Oscars.
The Lion King, yeah, that was huge. Still is.
It is. Okay, mid-90s, even bigger moves. 1995, Disney announces plans to buy Capital Cities ABC, a major TV network. Pocahontas is released, 2 Oscars, and Toy Story comes out, the very first fully computer-animated feature film, a revolution. It got a Special Achievement Oscar.
Toy Story, Pixar, computer animation, that changed everything again, didn't it?
Completely. Now, 1996, the ABC deal is done. They also acquire Jumbo Pictures, the company behind Doug, and Evita, the film, wins an Oscar. 1997, The Lion King goes to Broadway. Huge hit. They sign a 10-year distribution deal with Pixar, a pretty crucial partnership, and they take control of the Anaheim Angels baseball team.
The Lion King on Broadway, that's smart, expanding into theater. And the Pixar deal, that was a sign of things to come, wasn't it?
It was. 1998, announcements for Hong Kong Disneyland, the launch of the Disney Cruise Line, and Disney's Animal Kingdom opens in Florida. They're everywhere.
So they're expanding into cruises now, more theme parks, different types of parks, ambitious.
Very. New millennium arrives, 2000. Roger Iger becomes president of the company. 2001, they buy Fox Family Network, which becomes ABC Family. Sid Bass, a big shareholder, sells his stock. Monsters, Inc. and Pearl Harbor both win Oscars.
Iger, another key figure in Disney's story.
He is. 2002, they get into video games with Kingdom Hearts. They partner with Sanrio, the Hello Kitty company. Miyazaki's Spirited Away wins Best Animated Feature. And Walt Disney Studios Park opens in Paris. Now, 2003 was a bit messy.
Messy how?
Well, Roy Disney resigns again, starts a Save Disney campaign. Pixar's deal is up and they're looking for a new distributor. Things are tense. They sell the Anaheim Angels. But amidst all that, Pirates of the Caribbean comes out. A big new franchise is born.
Pirates. Yeah, that was unexpected, but it really worked.
It did. 2004, Comcast tries to buy Disney, but it fails. Michael Eisner steps down as chairman. The Incredibles wins a couple of Oscars. They buy the Muppets, finally, and the Show Bear in the Big Blue House. But they sell the Disney store chain.
So a lot of buying and selling, a failed takeover, some Oscar wins. Quite a year.
2005, Robert Iger takes over as CEO.
Yeah.
He wants to focus on those core brands and fix things with Pixar. They sell the Mighty Ducks hockey team. Roy Disney comes back as a consultant. Disneyland's 50th anniversary. The Weinsteins leave Miramax. Chronicle of Narnia comes out. And Hong Kong Disneyland opens.
Iger's the guy who oversaw those massive acquisitions, right? Marvel, Lucasfilm, and all that.
He is. And in 2006, he pulls off the biggest deal yet. They buy Pixar. Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead Man's Chest wins an Oscar.
Yeah.
And in a fun twist, they get the rights back to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
Full circle with Oswald. That's kind of poetic.
Late 2000s, more changes. They buy Club Penguin, the online kids world. Sell off some radio stuff. Close Hollywood Pictures. Rename Buena Vista again. Pixar wins Oscars for Ratatouille and WALL-E.
So streamlining some parts of the business, and Pixar is still winning those awards.
Exactly. 2008, they buy back the Disney store chain. Launch Disney Family Movies. The Muppets officially join Walt Disney Studios. Up wins a couple of Oscars. Then 2009, another huge deal. They buy Marvel Entertainment.
Marvel. That was a game changer, wasn't it?
Totally. 2010s, they sell Power Rangers and Miramax. Toy Story 3 wins Oscars. 2011, they get the Avatar theme park rights and win Oscars for The Help and The Muppets.
Avatar. That's interesting, trying to tap into that James Cameron magic.
Right. Now, hold on to your hats, because 2012, they acquire Lucasfilm, Star Wars, and Indiana Jones, all part of Disney now. Plus, the first Disney Marvel movie, The Avengers, comes out, a massive hit. Lincoln wins an Oscar, as does Pixar's Brave.
Star Wars, that's huge. Disney's portfolio is getting ridiculous at this point.
It is. 2013, Frozen takes over the world. 2 Oscars. 2014, Big Hero 6 wins an Oscar, and they buy Maker Studios, a big online video network.
So they're really getting into the online content world, too.
Yep. Mid-2010s, lots of internal restructuring, integrating Marvel more, making a deal with Sony for Spider-Man. Pixar's Inside Out and Bridge of Spies win Oscars. Star Wars, The Force Awakens comes out in 2015. The next year, Shanghai Disneyland opens, ABC Family becomes Freeform. They start building Star Wars Land of the Parks. DreamWorks deal ends. They shut down Disney Interactive Studios. And Zootopia and the live-action Jungle Book win Oscars. Oh, and Spider-Man joins the MCU.
Busy few years. Shanghai Disneyland, that must have been a major undertaking.
It was. Late 2010s, they announced plans for Disney Plus, their streaming service. And they buy most of 21st Century Fox. Pixar's Coco wins Oscars. And Pandora, the World of Avatar, opens in Florida.
Fox, wow, they're really going all in on content.
Big time. 2018, Comcast tries to steal Fox, but Disney wins the bidding war. Black Panther gets nominated for Best Picture and wins 3 Oscars. 2019, Ron Miller passes away, and the Fox acquisition is finalized.
So they're entering the streaming wars. They've got this massive content library. They're a global force. It's incredible, really.
It is. And that's where we'll wrap up our historical overview. Around 2019, it really sets the stage for where Disney is today. A true entertainment behemoth.
It's been a wild ride, hasn't it? Almost 100 years of history, ups and downs, risks and rewards, from humble beginnings to global domination.
Absolutely. And, we haven't even touched on the controversies, the lawsuits, accusations of discrimination, the rumors about Walt himself.
Yeah, there's a whole other side to the Disney story, the not-so-magical aspects.
For sure. But for today, I think we've covered a lot of ground. So for you listening, what do you think is the most significant turning point in Disney's history? And how do you see their past shaping their future in this ever-changing world of entertainment? It's definitely something to think about.
Lots to ponder. From Mickey Mouse to Marvel superheroes, theme parks to streaming empires, it's been quite a journey.
It has. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.